Felt like I should have an epic entrance. And then go get the chair. Hi guys. How's it going? I'm just getting sick. That's more casual. It's more comfortable. Hi everybody. How's it going? Good. Everyone having fun? Yeah. I am Marisha Ray. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm a voice actor and actress and host, producer, writer, and I'm on Keegan Sunday's Critical Role. Yeah, this is my panel, How to Kick Ass and Take Names, which is basically just me talking about myself, which is always awkward and weird, so I generally open up to questions pretty early on, and we just chat, we just talk about things. But yeah, I mean, a few of the things that I've done, you can hear me in games like Star Wars Battlefront, Metal Gear Solid, Phantom Pain, Persona as Margaret, and most recently Fire Emblem Fates, as Mikoto, Oboro, and FB. And then you can see me in shows like Superpower Beatdown, which is super fun, and Backroom Foil, and yeah, that's enough about me. That's fine. You can just like look up the rest. It's fine. But yeah, I kind of just do a little bit of everything, and like everything from stunt work to, like I said, writing and producing. So I'm kind of in Los Angeles. That's what we call surviving. So you can't say no to jobs. So if someone's like, "Hey, can you grip?" You're just like, "Yeah, totally, man." What the shit is that? I'm Google it real fast. Okay. Just really gotta set up lights. I have no idea how to light things. Alright. And that's how you learn things. And yeah, experience is key. You always learn more through experience. Yeah, I moved to Los Angeles when I was 18, like a crazy person. And ate a lot of ramen and suffered on public transportation. Homeless people smell really bad sometimes. Yeah, I did crazy stuff. I've done crazy things. I've got a lot of stories. But why don't we ask questions? Because questions are fun, because I'm just sitting up here rambling. By the way, having a creeper, like, right in front is really unnerving. Really unnerving. It's like Jack in the Box, like, at a happening moment. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
What was it like to work on MGS?
On Metal Gear Solid? Metal Gear Solid was amazing. I'm a massive Metal Gear fan. So when I found out I booked that one, I was like, yeah. And going into the booth every day was like, it was phenomenal. And then you can actually recruit me and play with me. So that was even more fun and playable. But yeah, no, what was that?
That sounds pretty weird, so I get to show you.
Yeah, you can play with me. You gotta either shoot me or play with me. It's like, it's the American dichotomy. Yeah. You know, pick one. So thin line. But yeah, no, that one was funny because the director on that one, Chris Zimmerman, who's incredible. She's directed a ton of video games and is a good friend of Matt and I's. There were a few times where like lines would come up, and you know, a director and voiceover, they're there to give you context because you don't have a full script. It's not like you're getting a screenplay like in theater or on camera. So you're generally just getting your lines. So the director is there to provide context. And some Metal Gear Solid lines out of context are really fucking weird. So the one came up where she's like, okay, so the character, Solid Snake, and I'm like, She's like, he does this thing where he gets in cardboard boxes, and I'm like, I got it. This is great, oh my god, I'm so excited. But yeah, no, it was probably one of still my favorite experiences that I've worked on today, just because I'm such a fangirl. Yeah, soldier. soldier number one, super connected to soldier number one. Yeah, kind of just soldier battle shouty stuff. There's really, you know, Snake. Snake is kind of the main character there. Most of it's soldiers, but so sure. Do you have another question?
Who would win, Batman or Superman?
Wait, what?
Who would win in a fight, Batman or Superman?
I mean, are they coming out with a movie about that? Yeah, Batman versus Superman. Yes, they are. Ben Affleck.
Oh, he's cute. But no, seriously, who'd win?
I'm a Batman fan. How about this? Batman wins because of character development and story arc. How is that? I like my flawed characters. I'll take them.
Child.
What's that?
He's a broken child.
Well, wouldn't you be if you saw your parents get shot when you were a child?
No.
No? Wait. No? I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and say, I don't believe that.
Well, okay, I'd be sad, but like, you know, I'd wake up the next day and I'd have all that money.
What's your name?
There's a silver lining.
What's your name?
John Kearns.
So, ladies, if you're looking for a man who knows where his priorities lie, John Kearns back there. At the dough. Next question. Yes. Was that superpower beatdown something about Nightwing? Oh, are we going to plan to make another with Nightwing? Or plan, because we have one with Nightwing. Oh yeah, I mean, we're always doing more superpower beatdowns. The problem with superpower beatdown is that the visual effects in it are pretty extensive, and it's just one guy, because we're still an independent web series with very little money. Yeah, it's insane. His name's Nikolai, he's actually based out of like Ukraine, which is even more awesome. So episodes, the reason there's no way we could be anything like a weekly show or anything like that, because we're like the effects and the shoots that we're doing are so extensive, and like the combat and the stunt work, and so much post goes into it. So I mean, a ton of people are always like, why are you taking so long for your super beatdown? I'm like, shut up and enjoy your free content. So yeah, that's why they take some time, but I mean, they're worth it, right? They're totally worth it, because they're pretty stellar at the end. For anyone who's not familiar with Superpower Beatdown, it's a show that I host with Batman's son. It kind of goes through. He's that's great. But yeah, it's through Machinima, and we take two superheroes generally from like different universes, like cross fandom. So always Marvel versus DC type of a thing, and put them in a fight and see who would win, and the audience votes to see who decides. So what we always do is we always tend to shoot both endings, and then whatever the audience decides is what goes in. Which I mean, sometimes I'm like, I disagree, but all right, sure, that's what they want to see. Sometimes it's more of a popularity contest, not gonna lie, than I think an actual like. But I will say the comments on Superpower Beatdown are phenomenal, because it's just like anger, like nerd rage about like, oh, Wolverine would totally shoot one because regeneration powers are totally bad. And it's just brilliant. Then like the anger because of these fictional battles, it's phenomenal. We do, sometimes. I think it depends. Huh? When they're close, we will. Because if it's not close, then we just, it's more of a special thing that we kind of tend to do, because I feel like if we released the alternate ending for all of them, it would kind of ruin the point of the show. If we did it all the time, it'd be like, oh, well, this is more of a choose your own adventure. An actual debate. And they take work. Like, if we release the alternate ending, it means we had to put post work into that alternate ending. So we're not going to, we'll shoot it, and then we wait to see who wins, and it doesn't. So some of them, they don't have, they're not finished. So we just don't use it, because it takes a lot of time. Seeing Deadpool explode for that like half a second shot of him exploding, that's a couple weeks of the computer. It's different when it's Marvel and Disney and they have multi-million dollars, and then they're still hiring ILM and all these other studios to do certain effects. That's why when you see the credits at the end of Avengers, it's like 8 different special effects houses, because it takes a lot. Next question? Yeah. Savage. I love him. What kind of hijinks we get into with other voice actors? Well, before it was public, Dungeons and Dragons. Because, for those who aren't aware, Critical Role was our personal page for about 2 years before we started the show. We were legit just doing it because we really enjoyed it, which is kind of why it works now and why it's so great, because the dynamics are already established. But I mean, we do so much crazy stuff, and it is like a small industry once you're in it, so we like know half the people. You'll have to ask him out when he gets up here next. A few years ago for his birthday, we threw an H.P. Lovecraft murder mystery birthday party, and gave everybody characters, and it was like a 4-hour puzzle escape. It was like real life Mansions of Madness or real life Arkham Horror, if for those who know. It was phenomenal, but we commit 100%. We're like, no, you have to be in costume, and we're like, we're there. We're totally. And the Ren Fair is always a blast. But because we're actors, we're all super nerdy. Like going to Ren Fair, we get in full costume, and then we pick characters and talk in British accents the whole time, and get drunk off weed, and it's crazy. It's nuts. But yeah, it's a fun life. No. I was walking into a trap. Maybe after a few drinks. Next question.
Just having you look after this. It's a great language. Thank you.
Most unusual or the funnest? Kind of like random jobs type of a thing, like a random stumble into. AD can actually be fun if you're an AD. You are essentially the on-set dick that moves everyone and keeps everyone on task. So sometimes most ADs on set, people are like, oh, fucking asshole. And honestly, people are like, guy's an asshole. It's because you might be spraying, he's doing his job. And you can be still a fun AD, but it is your job to be like, ha, that was fun, right? That was fun taking out. Okay, we have to get this shot in the next 3 minutes. So stop joking now and shoot. Guys, shoot. But it can be really fun, but also really hectic. But because the director, your AD essentially does everything that the director can't do at the time. So honestly, the ADs are kind of the real on-set heroes. And yes, way more like a stage director. Exactly. They're orchestrating the whole thing because the director The director's job is to just sit behind the camera and talk to the actors.
Very much.
You know, that's what the director, it's his vision that he's trying to capture. So if the director needs actors on set, you're the one who's screaming, you know, you're the one who's screaming quiet on set, you're the one doing everything else that or everything else that everyone else has dropped the ball on, is the job of the AD. It's a blast. I really enjoy it. Most unusual job? My first, no, that's not true. My first real job in Los Angeles, I was canvassing for the Democratic National Committee. My second was street performer. So that was fun. I've got stories. You could probably write a book. You see a lot when you're standing on the street. Yeah, only not there. Yes, the back.
You ever get tempted to look at Matthew's notes before a game?
Do I ever get tempted to look at Matt's notes before game? No. And I'm pretty sure if I did, I wouldn't be living anymore. Find my body somewhere. And no, because that's cheating and that's more fun. It's like peeking before Christmas. But no, and that is actually the thing that I get questioned and accused of the most is, well, she's dating the DM, so she's gotta know everything. And I'm like, what? No, I actually tried really hard to shield my eyes through the house as he's working on things. So yeah, no, because that's part of the game. It's way more fun to be in the moment and immersed and just as surprised when everyone else is. Yes. Yeah. Advice for an aspiring voice actor. First, become an actor. You have to take acting classes. Legit acting classes, theater, improv is also very helpful. But take acting classes, because that's where you get the technique. It's kind of like in dance, when they always make you take ballet, because that's where you get the technique, that's where you get your form. And ultimately, voice acting is just a subdivision of acting, of performing. So acting classes, acting classes, acting classes, acting classes. Also, start recording yourself and listening to yourself a lot. Because listening to your own voice is going to throw you for a very long time. And eventually, when you start getting in booths, then they put headsets on you, and you're hearing yourself as you're talking, as you're performing. And there's a lot of newbies that get in the booth for the first time and start hearing themselves. Because everyone hates the way they sound. Every voice actor fucking hates their voice, by the way. Just throwing that out there. You never get used to it, but you kind of have to, so you start listening to yourself. My other advice would be to not limit yourself. Saying, I want to be a voice actor, that's kind of like being like, I want to be a charcoal sketch artist. It's being like, I don't want to touch any other mediums. I just only want to ever work in charcoal. And it's fine if charcoal is your forte, but most other visual artists will probably stretch their legs and try other things. And you should too. Just like in visual art medium, improv, oral speech, accent training, once again, theater, all of that will only help strengthen your voice acting. It's trained in all mediums. And don't limit yourself, because you never know. You might work really hard to get to voice acting and be like, oh man, I think I like black box theater better. And that's great, that's fine. But just think of it more as an arc. It is acting, it's not just voice acting. Never limit yourself. Never limit yourself.
Having friends in high places?
Yeah. Does that kind of answer? Does that help a little bit? Yeah. Next question. Yes.
Who's your arch enemy?
Who's my arch enemy? In real life or in my imaginary one?
Oh.
My arch enemy in real life is probably myself. My own self-loathing and insecurity. insecurities and that I deal with all the time because it takes a lot of energy to hate other people, man. It takes a lot. So I actually, I wouldn't say I have the arch enemies. I mean, there are people that I'm like, no, I don't, your negative energy, I don't like it, good. So I don't, but I try not to obsess. I feel like hating someone takes a lot of meditation on negative energy. In my imaginary life, same answer. Is that kind of answer your question? He's like, I'm not satisfied, but sure. Not really, but I guess. Next question. Yes, you raise your hand. I was actually. Hang on, I'm just gonna cut it. I put on like 8 layers. It's 80 degrees when I was step up playing. What was the question? Oh, and was I nerd? Yes, I was actually. I was a huge video game nerd and a comic book nerd as well. I was a DC girl for a really long time. And yeah, I had my first system was an NES when I started playing video games when I was 3. Favorite system is probably OG PlayStation. Favorite video game of all time, and the game that's probably responsible for making me like a core gamer to this day is Tomb Raider. But I love that game. Tomb 2 is amazing. Yeah, and I had no idea, when I came to Los Angeles, I wasn't pursuing voice acting or hosting in a video game universe or, nerd, geekdom, culture stuff at all. I moved to LA, I went to college in Pittsburgh for acting, moved to LA and was just auditioning and doing the grinds, the hitting the pavement, sending in headshots. And after about a year of that and not really making any headway, I was like, this is stupid, lame, nothing's happening. So I joined an improv class, just cuts. And we just always kind of keep, I still try to teach classes all the time, always trying to keep bettering yourself. So I joined an improv class, and there I met a girl who worked for a company called Gen Online, as well as a few other companies, and she also did video game journalism on her spare time, and was a cosplayer, loved cosplaying. And I overheard her in improv class one day. I hadn't met her beforehand, and I was like, are you talking about video games? She was like, yeah. I don't know, she was talking about something specific at the time. I don't know, I was like, wait, are you talking about Assassin's Creed? And she was like, oh my god, yes. Something like that. And then I went and I sat next to her, and then from there she was like, hey, do you want to write for my site? And you don't really get paid, but you might get free promo copies for video games every once in a while. I was like, oh my god, yes. Free video games, heck yeah. By the way, that I don't think ever happened, because they rarely do that. They're assholes about that sometimes, video game companies. So that was a false promise. But from there, I started doing on-camera hosting work from her or with her, and then I met other nerds, and then we just started shooting nerd-based sketches, and it kind of slowly became an amalgam of these two things that I loved. And that was awesome. And like I said, I didn't really try it. I just followed what I was enjoying, to be totally honest. Like I said, I started writing for her for free, just because I thought I was going to get free games. And then one thing just led to another, and I started hosting, because they were like, oh, you know about video games, and you can talk into a microphone. People can understand you. That's great. Will you get on camera? I was like, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea. And then I just started meeting people, and of course, working the video game press side of things, I started meeting a ton of voice actors and directors, and one thing really just led to another. Once you kind of fall into a crowd, you start meeting everyone in that adjacent crowd. Once you find your flock, it's all And I was probably in LA for 2 years, just nothing, starving, working on the street, literally. Not as a prostitute, but almost as a street performer, begging for tips. I wasn't begging, I never begged. But yeah, it was crazy, but I literally just kept being like, oh yeah, you want me to like be Princess Leia in your sketch? Sure. I mean, that's fine. Yeah, I'll do it for free. Never turn down free work. I will say that. Know your worth. There's a difference. Know your worth. But I will still do free projects if I, one, think it's going to be fun and enjoyable. But sometimes those projects that are those indie projects that they can't pay you for are the ones where they'll let you take more extreme choices as an artist. You know, they're willing to kind of let you play a little bit more. And those can be very fulfilling, and you never know who's watching. Plus, you never know who that guy is going to be in 10 years. And I like the people that I actually had an amazing moment when we were at Wizard World in Portland this past couple weekends. For we had Critical Role was there. There was a convention in Portland, and a bunch of guys, spontaneous guys, were there, and I did like shitty YouTube videos, like we were like scum together, like we were internet scum, and they were up on stage with a panel and had a huge line, and we were like up on stage with Critical Role, and then I saw them later, guys, I was like, hey guys, I'm so proud of you, because like, remember when we were all garbage? Like we were all nobodies? And we were all struggling, and they were like, dude, we were literally just talking about that when you guys were on your panel. And I'm like, yeah. And we all, you know, it's a hierarchy. And as long as you keep working, those people who are busting your ass, hopefully you all start getting elevated together. And luckily we kind of hit that point where all the friends that I just did shitty YouTube videos with like 5-6 years ago, you just kept busting their ass, and now, you know, it's slowly pays off, but it's a struggle. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent, but yes. Yes, or no? I don't remember your original question. Yeah. Okay, next question. That's a good question, though. Have you already asked a question? No, okay, go. Good question. I just have some in mind. I have a few ideas. None of us, we get asked this question a lot, and none of us really want to like say anything in case we all inevitably die. We kind of still want it to be a surprise. But I will say I might maybe have a bard lined up, maybe. I also have a cleric, which is pretty fun. I got options. Yes! Yeah.
Alright, I'm very
Sure.
The bird's name is Dagon.
Dagon, yeah.
Is that a Lovecraft?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Ding, 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 ding.
Just making sure, because I was like, it's not a common name at all.
Yeah. Yep, we named our bird after Dagon, the old god of the deep. Yeah.
Oh, follow up. I mean, if you're reading Lovecraft, any particularly favorite Lovecraft stories?
Particularly favorite Lovecraft stories. I actually really love the Dunwich Horror short story. I mean, and of course, Call of Cthulhu is classic. Great. Classic. Just a must read, if I don't say so myself. Yeah, I really like Dunwich Horror, that kind of cults, you know, Louisiana. Lots of, you know, bigotry in some of the stories. But yeah, it's great. It's great. I love it. Not that I'm condoning bigotry, by the way, you're saying, right? I like bigotry because that's not true. Yeah, Fedora. Some of my biggest role models from a performing point of view. Ironically, Vin Diesel? Yeah, because in meeting him was incredible when we did Vin Diesel. If anyone has seen that through Peak and Sundry, we played a couple people from Critical Role, and Matt got the amazing joy of dungeon mastering for Vin Diesel. I was actually a big fan of him for a while and really admired him because he moved to Los Angeles, failed, had to move back to New York, moved to Los Angeles again, failed, had to move back to New York. So he wrote, directed, and produced and starred in his own short film. It got accepted into Sundance. Steven Spielberg noticed him and then put him in Saving Private Ryan. So if you ever go back and watch Saving Private Ryan, you see in his he dies pretty early on. Spoiler alert! Oh, it was a 20-year-old movie. Yeah, and that was like his first major role. But he's actually, and I knew early on that he was a huge D&D nerd, and took a lot of cues from fantasy and from Dungeons and Dragons, and then also later he was like, oh yeah, I'm totally bisexual, and I'm like, dude, you're like fucking dope as shit. You're like the coolest person on this world. I don't know. He was just awesome, and I just really admired just his story, and I like people who are kind of self-made. And like hearing his story was because I started writing and shooting my own web series after I was saying I was in Los Angeles for like a year and a half and nothing was happening. I was like, fine, I'll just start making stuff, my own. And I did. And it made all the difference in the world. Because as soon as people see that you're putting in effort towards your own career, and that you're at least trying, that's what people notice, and that's what people like. So don't be afraid to do that. Part of the reason why I did Batgirl Spoiled is because I was starting to get typecast really fast. It's like, hi, like, kind of ditzy, like, girl next door, like, little haircut, little vapid, you know, just little. And I was like, this is dumb. And then like my agent was only sending me out for like cheerleader. And I'm like, no. And I had a background in some martial arts and wanted to do more actiony, gritty stuff. And I was like, I can do this, but no one could see it. Casting directors are the least imaginative people in the industry, which is like the worst place for that flaw to be. Casting directors, I find, can't see past your 8x10, your headshot. So I just had a hard time getting past this. They were like, no, we don't see action star, we don't see, gritty heroin addicts, you can't do any of that. And I'm like, no, that's not true. So I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll do it myself. And got a team together and we started producing Batgirl Spoiled. Got a cease and desist after 2 episodes, but that opened up so many doors in my career, and actually now people associate me more as being more actiony, like, superhero type persona girl instead of the ditzy girl next door kind of thing that I was getting stuck in for a while, because it just, I don't know, it's amazing what a photograph can do to your image. It's amazing what you can do, a little bit of makeup, changing your look a little bit, and yeah, people see what they believe what they see in front of them, and sometimes you have to show them. So if you want to go out for like a nerdy role character and you don't really look the part, put on some glasses and hold the manga and take a picture and send that instead of your like plain generic 8x10, and I guarantee you'll see way more results, or send both. I started doing that too. You know, here's a picture of me as in the short film where I played a heroin addict. Yeah, I'm crazy how wrecked I can look, right? You know, and here's my 8x10. And it started changing everything. You just start breaking rules, because they say, like, you need an 8x10, you need a commercial where you're smiling, and then you need a theatrical where you're just... Yeah, those are your two looks, that's what we need. We want you to be a blank slate. Walk in, and I'm a blank slate. You can do anything. No one can see it. People don't like to work to imagine things anymore. So sometimes you have to throw it in their face and don't be afraid to. Wow, that was another tangent, wasn't it? Okay, next one. Yeah, what? Yeah, thank you. Good question. Another question? Yes. What? You mean in terms of their beliefs, like in Civil War?
Which team would you be on?
I'd be Team Iron Man. Cap was a bit of a Boy Scout. It's tough. Iron Man all the way. What's that? Okay, Cap zero. Wait, what is that? Wait, superhero? What superpowers would I have? Oh, who needs superpowers when you got money? Yeah, words. Yeah, Iron Man and Batman, teaching that lesson left and right. Okay, next question. Anyway, yes. Is very inexperienced. Keelan is still trying to figure out who she is. And she's never even, because Shaw, this is criminal world talk, by the way, everyone's not caught up. Spoilers. Sorry, you won't remember this when you catch up anyway, it's fine. You're gonna drink tonight. Don't lie. Yeah, she's still trying to figure out who she is. She doesn't know, maybe. And to be honest, I don't know yet. I'm learning with Keyleth. But Kashaw was her first kiss. Because she's kind of been stuck in the mountains her whole life. This is her first soiree out to the world. So she's still figuring out herself, and I think she's gonna have to do that before she can even, really start pursuing interests in other people, which is why the whole Vax Keelan thing has been tough. Because she has these feelings that are new to her, and she doesn't understand what they are. Ever been in love for the first time? Remember when you were like, is this love? Maybe it's not. What does this mean? And then you double 2 weeks later, and you're like, fuck that guy, that wasn't love. So she doesn't, you don't know, and then the next guy, you're like, wait, is this it? Is it, oh God. And then he breaks your heart, and you're like, that's love. So sometimes she doesn't know. She has no clue yet. And I don't either. I'm the crazy thing with Keyleth and Dungeons and Dragons, I mean, it's essentially, it's almost like we've been playing a 3-year-long long-form improv. Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's an amazing book I recommend called Me, Myself, and Why by Jennifer Ouellette. And it's like a life science book on the science of yourself. And it was like the first book. You can't say it's a self-help book, but it's the first book that I read that made me not feel like a freak of nature, because everyone feels that way. Everyone's like, oh, I have these weird mannerisms, and I've got this weird thing that I do when I go home, and I can't tell anybody about it because it's like shame. You know, and, like everyone has weird things about them. And then you read Me, Myself, and Why, and you're like, oh, it's like genetic. Oh, everyone's a freak of nature. Great. Awesome. It's a great book. But, and she goes into the book, she goes into everything from the science of being a lightweight, to sexuality, to, you know, taste bud mutations, to if there actually is a soul, physical or metaphysical. She also goes into avatars, like in World of Warcraft or Second Life or RPGs. So she has a section where she's talking about what is happening in your brain when you play RPGs or when you have an avatar. And one of the things that she talks about is when they go back and when people tell stories and they put them in like an EEG machine or put them through an MRI and they're doing brain scans, when people are, and they start telling them to tell stories about when they were this avatar, when they were this other person. And the memories register in the exact same part of the brain in the exact same way than your memories do in real life. They're all stored in the same part of your brain. And at the end of the day, all we have are our memories. So if our memories when we're not real people versus our memories from real life are essentially the same, I know, right? So yeah, and we'll talk as a group, you know, the Purple Wolf group, and if you have any D&D campaign that you've been playing, if anyone's not playing D&D or has never played a role-playing game, I highly recommend it. It's incredibly fulfilling, and you learn a lot about yourself. It's an amazing thing that you cannot quantify or replicate with a video game. And I love video games. Nothing to do with video games, it's totally different type of experience. And when we talk with the Critical Role group, and at the end of the game, and we'll go out to bars and we'll be like, yeah, it's like, you know, rest in peace, carpet, you know, and when we're like, to quantify it, actually, someone asked me on Twitter, I get this question a lot anytime I cry on the show, which embarrassingly kind of happens a lot. And when the stuff went down with the fire Ashari, once again, spoiler, don't want to blow that, fire Ashari happened, trying to be vague, and I got like really upset. People started tweeting at me being like, were you actually upset, or were you just acting? And I was like, yes? Yes? Both? But I mean, it's all real. It's all real. And at the end of the day, and like we're feeling like, when Laura cries because Trinket goes down, she's legitimately upset that Trinket went down. She's not acting upset. She's like, oh my god, my bear just died. It's upsetting. So it's kind of hard to say, but I mean, I essentially share half a brain with Keyleth. And like I said, it's great because when we were going through the game, it's like I'm almost experiencing the storyline for two people, because I'll have my opinions, but then Keyleth also has her opinions, and she's kind of her own person now, that kind of, in a way, lives and breathes on her own. And yeah, we'll still talk about stories, about things that happen in game, and we're all laughing and joking like they actually happened, because they kind of did. They really kind of did. So, yeah. What's that? Another really good tangent. Thank you. Sorry I got getting existential with you guys now. Man, sorry. Yeah.
What's your favorite and least favorite Keyleth moments?
Favorite and least favorite Keyleth moments? Leaping down off of the magic carpet and transforming into an earth elemental in air and then kicking a beholder in the face was pretty dope. Pretty all about that one. That was great. She's got great moments. First kiss with Kashaw was great. Least favorite Keyleth moments? I mean, there are things like, it's funny, like, people get, I'm pretty sure Keyleth is probably the most polarizing character on the show. People seem to either love her or hate her. And there are choices that Keyleth makes that, like, I as Marisha don't agree with. But they just happen, because like I said, I'm kind of acting synonymously at the same time. It's really hard to describe, and like, you know, to dictate sometimes. So yeah, there's sometimes where she'll make a choice and I'm like, you twat. There's a few times, least favorite Keyleth moments. That's a good question. There's a few times where I kind of wish, it's hard because I think they're more in my head. Because a lot of times it's more moments where I wish she would have stood up or wish she would have been a stronger person and like put her foot down, and I didn't. Like I kind of wish I would have put my foot down, or Keyleth would have put her foot down a little bit harder about going back into General Krieg's house to try and find the extra loot when Scanlan's gang rolled into town. I kind of wish I would have been a little bit more adamant about that. There were a few times that I wish I could have, yeah. But it all happens, just like real life, it can. It's all development, sometimes things just don't work out. Yeah, another good question. Next question. Yeah, David Tennant again. I'm loving Ireland. It's been delightful, you guys. It's amazing. We went on a walk this morning with the gunpowder factory walk. Well, the buildings that are what? Yeah, the gunpowder mills. Thank you. Those, yes, did that, which is amazing. It's awesome because you guys actually have like history, and you didn't like close it down. So it's great. It like Niall's been taking us around, and we're like, dude, look at this, look. This is like 300-year-old pile of rocks, dude. This is nuts. And I was like, I'm like, no, this is incredible! Because we don't have stuff like that at home. So I'm enjoying all the ruins and the buildings. And then we went to Blarney today, which is great. Yeah, it was good. It's been awesome. I greatly enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to whiskey later though, because that hasn't happened really. So that'll probably happen. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Next question. What? Yeah. Wait. No. Before, I mean, Matt will tell you a different story. Matt kind of like trial ran a lot of voices that he's now used in games and stuff through Dungeons and Dragons. But I mean, he's the DM, so he's 30 people potentially in one game. So for a long time, it was almost like his proving ground, see like which characters he could get into. And yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like a really great acting exercise. Dungeons and Dragons is. It's live role playing. You're pretending to be someone on the spot. So I mean, kind of like what I was going into earlier about strengthening other skills. Everything's always going to help. Everything's going to help elevate your other skills and other mediums. But since Critical Role has started, yeah, I've actually definitely gotten a few jobs because of Critical Role, which is crazy when you think about it on paper, that because of my Dungeons and Dragons game, I was in Lego Marvel, and that's true. That's 100% true. Because the producer of Marvel is a fan of Critical Role. So he was like, I'm a keyless, I'm doing a voice.
And he stopped his father from
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's a weird reality that I'm still wrapping my brain around. Next question. I get no free Legos, man. They never want to give you products. I did a Little Caesars pizza commercial. I've actually done 3 Little Caesars pizza commercials. You guys probably don't even have those here, do you? Thank you! Very good guy in the back. Yes! Get through it. Yeah, it's a pizza chain that's kind of garbage. But yeah. It's a $5 pizza. You can only pick cheese or pepperoni, and they have them under heat lamps. But you walk in and they hand you a pizza for $5. It's great. It's terrible, but it's great. I tried to. I was like, can I get like a lifetime supply of pizza in my contract? And they're like, no. It was literally what the guy did. He laughed and he was like, no. Yeah. And I was like, really? And he's like, we don't even do that for our employees. And I was like,
the shipping is real.
Yes. Yeah, it's so hard getting product out of companies. They're kind of a pain in the ass about it, to be honest. It's sad. But they did pay me in dollars. That I was a fan of.
Oh, that whole thing.
Yeah. I just invest in stock. That's what I should have said. Question one. I think you had your hand up earlier, right? No? Yeah? No? Did I'm hallucinating that? Oh, yeah. It's made out of a cannon. You Irish. Amazing. So there was like a parade made out of a cannon. Like a parade. What she said. It explodes. How many? 2 minutes? 2 minutes! Alright, any last questions? And Matthew Mercer is next, you guys. You can harass him. Favorite NPC from Critical Role? I do. I love Kima. Kima's phenomenal. And I almost love her even more because I hated her when we first started, and they're like, Kima legitimately pissed me off. So they're like, I went home and I was like, just, I'm like talking to Matt, like pacing in the living room, and I'm like, I don't trust her. I don't trust her. Why am I the only one who doesn't trust her? Why did Vex and Vax look at me like I was a dick? Like, I'm not a dick, she's the dick. And Matt's like, so we had our outs, and now we're cool. Now we're like bros, and like, yeah. But there's so many. I love Chlorota as well, because I love him and I hate him. He was a bastard, but he was so great. I don't know, just great. And then of course Gilmore is another personal favorite who's been with us for a while. Love Gilmore. I got time for like one more question. Yeah.
Have you ever had to try to explain that you're a professional D&D player? Like a taxi driver's like, so what's your job?
I'll take you up on that. Yeah.
It's weird.
Well,
Dungeons and Dragons.
once you're poor, you realize you never turn down for alcohol.
Or like to your parents, like.
Another question? Like one more? Maybe time for another one? One last one? Yeah.
We're sorry for giving you shit as a kid about playing all those video games.
I hope my parents were so
Does Matt roleplay PCs at home? No. And we don't really talk. And people have asked that question if we like talk to each other in character outside of games, just like even with other actors. We try not to because we want to save it for the game. It's legitimately what it is. We just want to really try and save it for in game because we don't want to rob anybody of
You know, it's
missing out on
the whole idea that
fun
it's
stuff.
adult playing.
But there might occasionally be Travis slips into grog more often than not.
In fact, you can turn it.
So while we might not necessarily talk, I don't know, maybe that counts. No, then you can just be like, hey Travis, you wanna throw me a beer? Oh, Roy. We're just at Applebee's, man, it's cool. But yes, so it's, once again, it's hard when we're like half of those people. I guess that's it, you guys. Oh, next
Say that? Say that again? Mars.